The 2013 Honda Civic had a rattling noise when it was cold. I thought it was a body rattle, an exhaust rattle, or something rattling in the engine compartment here. Turns out it was the belt tensioner that's causing all that noise. I used a stethoscope to be able to isolate the noise, and sure enough it was the tensioner. Put the wrench on here, that's what you're going to release it to get the belt off. I put the stethoscope on that and you could really hear it rattling quite a bit. So that's today's project. Remove the belt tensioner and remove the belt at the same time. Tip: the hood support usually goes here. That would have been a nightmare. So I just laid it down and I put a pry bar to hold up the hood on this side, and this way it's not in the way here. I'm going to remove the alternator first, and then I think I can get behind that pulley to lock it in place so we can loosen them. I took this hose and just kind of bungee corded out of the way. This harness here, it removed the two connections here at the alternator. One connector here, and just bungee cord them out of the way over here. There's a bolt here, a long bolt. Pull that out. There's a smaller bolt down at the bottom. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you just stick your hand down here. That small bolt comes out. It's a small one. This is the large one that came out of the top here. Those are 12 millimeters, and I should be able to slide that alternator out of the way. I might have to disconnect this connector here. Just move this alternator out of the way at this point. Just working it back and forth. Yeah, I think we may be okay. Alright, so this connector here, this black connector, looks like that there's a clip on the bottom of it down here. Yeah, it's just going to slide right off of there. And I think I can work these other ones. Squeeze those together, pull them out like that. Some 45-degree needle nose. Okay. Those are the two clips. These two clips come off. Now we can pull this alternator up. We'll get this. I'm going to be replacing the belt, so I'll get it out of there. There's no drawing of how the belt is routed, so I just kind of drew a picture how it goes. I ordered the belt and the tensioner from Rock Auto. The belt is a Bando 6P K2095. It's supposed to be OE stuff. I measured it, and it looks to be the same length. The tensioner is a Gates 39385. Looks to be fairly decent quality. This is what it looks like now. At this point, here's part of the tensioner here. I think here's where the majority of the noise is coming from, the actual tensioner itself. So I'm gonna jam a screwdriver from the back somewhere. I think there's a hole there. Hold it in place while I loosen up those bolts, and then I can get to that last bolt for the tensioner. I'm just going to use a Phillips screwdriver. There's a hole on the water pump on the other side here, and I'm just going to put it through, lock it in place, and now I should be able to loosen up these bolts. That shouldn't be too tight. I don't want to drop these dumb things. I don't want to go finding them. That's one. Rotate pump. See if there's another hole on the other side. I think there is. There's a hole right here. Loosen up the other one. Ah, that one's rounding off. Fuck. God damn it. A ratcheting wrench here. See if we have a little more success with this thing. Ah, thank God. Broke loose. Just a flexible 10mm. And then one last one. Okay. Might as well use the same tool. Don't have much leverage, but it's enough to get them loose. Okay. Move our screwdriver. That's what the pulley looks like. Here's the holes that I was putting the screwdriver through. So it looks like there's two bolts holding the tensioner in place. Here, and then there's one. It's a little tricky to show you, but this, a little hole right there. That's the other hole down there. Looks like this tensioner bolt here is 12mm. loose. Trying to tighten it. Trying to loosen it. Okay, that's one bolt. I was able to put a wrench down here on the that bolt with that number 8 Allen head. I broke it loose and then it's coming out by hand, so looks like I gotta take the socket off first. That's number 8. And then I can slide the bolt out. There's the bolt. So now, looks like this tensioner should slide out. Come out one way. Not sure how this is going to come out, but just got to work it, and eventually it comes out. And there's the old one. Here was that where that pivot was. That pivot bolt kind of recessed. This one here was where the other was. The noise that was the rattle noise sounded like it was coming from like within the tensioner itself, so that's why we're going to replace that one. They're pretty much identical. Now we're going to start putting it back together. Dropped it in like that, around that water pump pulley. I think maybe before I put it together, I'll inspect that water pump really fast, make sure there's no leaks. Nope, see the, I don't know if you can see that, the weep hole is dry, around the water pump is dry, so I think we're good. Got to get that tensioner around that pulley, water pump pulley. There we go. Just got to fart around with it till you get it. Okay. Now we'll get my Allen head screw here. Turn that bolt in by hand as far as possible. Going to get torque too. Bottom torque bolt gets torqued to 41 foot-pounds. The top bolt gets torqued to 17 foot-pounds. My battery went dead. Damn it. Okay. Okay, I got this one torqued to 17 foot-pounds. Doesn't seem like much, but the other one, that torch one that's down there, that one gets torqued to 41 foot-pounds. That's done. Now I gotta start reassembling. I'm going to need my mirror for this so I can see the holes. Kind of close. There we go, that's better. I don't know if you can see that, but holes lined up. That's one. Two. And three. Okay, now they're just finger tight. Use the same wrench to tighten down the water pump bolts. I didn't see any actual specs for that, so we'll just snug them up. That's one. I hate when I drop stuff. Rotate a little bit. Tighten the next one. Stop. Alright. Maybe I can do the other one right there. The water pump bolts get torqued to 10 foot-pounds, so it's really not much. Next, we'll install the alternator. There we go. Get this thing, slide it in place first. That one's all the way in. I just noticed that there's a nut on the back of that upper bolt, and it's loose, so make sure you don't lose it when you remove it. I was just moving it, I screwed the bolt in a little bit, and see it can come out. Make sure you don't lose that. I'll try to get that lower one in. Yep. The alternator bolts get torqued to 17 foot-pounds. Doesn't seem like much, but that's what they want. Get them in. We'll torque them. 17 foot-pounds. Light out of the way. I'm going to torque it down. There we go. 17 foot-pounds. Next we'll do this harness. I just put a glove over the end of the positive end so it doesn't touch nothing. That's live, I think. I think there's other harness we got to bring in here. This one just going to snap back into place. That one snaps there. That one snaps in here. This one's going to slide like that. Now we can connect these other ones. That one goes there. And this is the one I was trying to be careful with. Make sure it doesn't touch anything. So 10 millimeter. careful not to touch anything. Probably should have disconnected the battery, but oh well. And then this one, this brown one, gets plugged over here. Alright, that's there, these are there. And we got this little bracket here. Put this bolt back in here. This bracket gets bolted in place. Now we got to do what's called a drive belt ear bleeding procedure. It says from the top of the engine turn the music off. From the top of the engine, set a socket wrench on the drive belt tensioner. Take at least 3 seconds to complete a full stroke to compress the auto tensioner in the direction of the arrow. Then take 3 seconds to complete a full stroke to the auto tensioner in the opposite direction, decompressing it. Repeat the full compress and decompress action 3 or more times. So it looks like I got to put a wrench on it. 3 seconds to compress it, and then 3 seconds to uncompress it, and they want it at least 3 times. This is a 19 millimeter. Camera's going to be in the way here. Maybe I'll move over this way a little bit. I'm going to use a long open end, and then just use another wrench to pry up on it. Like that. And they want 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now, it took longer than 3 seconds, but decompress it, nice and easy. Compress it again. I think when you compress it, it just takes its time. I wouldn't force it. You'll know when it stops. On the decompress, you can control. Decompresses faster than it compresses. But you don't want to force it. Nice and easy. Okay, and decompress. And we'll do one more time, just to make sure. And we'll decompress. All right. Do a little picture of how it was. Alternator on top, compressor on the bottom, water pump in the middle, the tensioner next to the water pump, the crank below the tensioner, and there's an idler all the way to the left. Probably could have just looked it up in all data, but that was simple enough. Right. I'm going to have to move the camera out of the way. Okay, I got the belt on, routed. Make sure the pulley's on all, or the belt is on all the pulleys. Nothing that could slip off. Look at it, it's perfectly on the crank, perfectly on the idler. The tensioner looks good, the alternator, the water pump, and then the compressor. Everything looks good.